Welcome to the Positive Spiritual Living Podcast, brought to you by Unity on the Bay. This is your positive path for spiritual living.
I am prosperous. I am an abundant being. How many of you have heard me talk about how abundant and blessed and prosperous I am? I love affirming that. I love knowing that about me. And I also not only speak it for myself, but I speak it for all of you, because through that, I really hope that you get that I believe that these spiritual teachings really work. That these prosperity teachings have shifted my life in the last 16 years in a way that was unfathomable. Is that a word? Unfathomable? Okay. It has an extra couple of B's in there, I feel. It has changed my life, and I want you to experience that for yourself also. How many of you are ready and willing to make 2019 your best year yet? Say it out loud. Yes, right? Amen. Awesome that you have that intention. And let that intention support you in taking the steps to make it so. Because there is work to be done in order for that to happen. There is processes, practices, ways of being, old patterns of being let go, and new patterns arriving in your life. We have a great opportunity for you to experience that in a community setting. We have a class starting on Tuesday, January 8th. It's Absolute Abundance. It's absolutely one of my favorite prosperity classes that we teach here. And not only do I facilitate, but if you've been in one of those classes with me, you know I do all of the practices, all of the tools, because I know that they work and they are a part of me continuing to feel blessed and prosperous. So, join me on Tuesday, January 8th. More information is on the website. And together, let's make this the best year yet. One more time. 2019, the best year yet? Yes. So all of you are going to be at the class on Tuesday, January 8th? Yes. All right. Somebody was in the back actually writing down names. So, all right. Well, interesting. We have, I have that energy, right, of this newness and of starting that. And I'm very excited about what the year holds. And was really interesting earlier this morning, our regular mic isn't working. Dale at the beginning of the service at the 9:30 said, it's just one of those mornings. I found myself being tired, and all of a sudden, I realized I had a thought. Let it just be next week. Let's just go to next week. But have you experienced that? When something isn't going the way that it's supposed to be going, when something is not happening the way you think it's supposed to be happening, you start already thinking about the next, right? Putting our mind to the next. And especially during this time of the year, we can be experiencing that because there's this excitement of a brand new year, right? A brand new year full of possibilities, a brand new you, right? How many of you are looking to have a brand new you show up in the world? Yes. Well, guess what? It may be the old you that steps into that new year, right? Because whether we're conscious of it or not, we carry a lot of 2018 into 2019. Amen? True? It's true. And sometimes we're not conscious of the ways in which we're doing that. We have every intention for the new year to be ripe with new possibilities, to walk and step boldly into a new way of being. And we carry around our hurts, our old resentments, right? Old ways of being, shame and guilt. Well, wouldn't you rather have a clean slate in 2019? Wouldn't you rather walk into that new year with all those possibilities and with no leftovers from the things that you want to release this year? Because sometimes we think we've let things go. Or sometimes we decide we're just going to say this is it, and we're going to step boldly into the new way of being, and don't realize that we still have some things that are within us from certain relationships, from certain challenges, situations that we may have experienced that may be a little dormant, right? Maybe in a relationship. Things are working okay. For the new year, I want to release this relationship or this way of being in this relationship. And you start walking through it, and all of a sudden what happens? A situation arises or a new relationship shows up, and oh boy, there's that old resentment. I thought I had let it go. I thought I had put it on the burning bowl, right? And it went up in flames. Well, those are all intentions. But like I said earlier, for me, it's all about the work that we're willing to do to really clean the slate. It's the work that we're willing to do in looking at all the things that we want to release for them to truly be released so that we can step boldly into the new year. And it is a great time to do it. I mean, think about it. We celebrate newness. We celebrating letting go of the old. We celebrate newness as a community, as a humanity. We celebrate it. We experience this. And so if we can tap into that energy and really use that communal energy, we could really move through the process, this ever happening, ever spiraling movement from end to beginning to end to beginning. Craig Lunsbrough, who, by the way, already, I have no idea who he is, but I love this quote, so I'm going to use it. The priceless lesson in the new year is that endings birth beginnings and beginnings birth endings. And in this elegantly choreographed dance of life, neither ever find an end in the other. This beautifully choreographed dance of life, this ebb and flow, this process that we're moving through. And it's really wonderful that we can experience it. This outer expression of something that is constantly happening in our lives. Beginning, end, beginning, end. And there are many ways in which we do so gracefully. We move through it with such beauty and elegance. How many of you have not experienced all the grace and all of the beauty and elegance of moving through change, right? And the possibility is there. You know, I just think about even like the breath, right? As a great example of how this can happen. Everybody just take a moment, take a deep breath, breathe in, and exhale. There was a beginning to the breath, an end to the breath. And it happens for us so gracefully that we sometimes aren't even conscious of it. And one of the things that I love about it, to be able to experience it as a model of what we can do in this time, is that as you breathe in, what are you doing? You're breathing in what you need. The experience, the relationships, whatever it is, the awareness, you're breathing it in. Then as you exhale, you're really only exhaling that which you no longer need, right? Everything that gives you what you needed in that breath stays within your body. It does its magic, it does its work, and everything else gets released. Imagine if we can go in to this transformation that is taking place at the welcome in the new year with as much grace, with as much peace. How it just felt in that moment to take a breath, that ease that we can experience. In Revelations chapter 22:13, it says, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end. God is not only in the limitless possibilities of something that is new, but God is also in the endings. And it may be that God is in the endings as the wisdom that comes from what you're experiencing. It may be that God is in there as the understanding that comes from that which you feel you want to release and let go of and not carry into the new year. But God is also in the messiness of that which you want to let go of. If you've been experiencing challenges and it's the first thing that you want to write on a little slip of paper to put it on the burning bowl and release and let it go, well, God is in that challenge. If there is some messiness happening in a relationship of yours, is there some messiness at work, wherever you may be feeling some uncomfortability, whatever that is, God is in there also. Can we honor that? So many times we want to just go into the new beginning without really honoring what is ending, honoring what is dying in that moment. How much more full would life be if we totally allow ourselves to experience all the aspects of life, the full cycle of birth and death and all the messiness in between? For example, I received, by the way, how many of you were at a burning bowl last year? I was here, and I highly recommend that you join us tomorrow night. So what we do is we actually take a moment and go through a practice of figuring out what it is that we want to release. And we put that on a piece of paper, and we actually have a fire pit, and we burn that off. We also do another ceremony where we really tap into our own divinity, our own wisdom, to see what is being imagined for us, what is being revealed for us in the new year. Now, what happens is that letter that you write with your vision and with your goals, that gets mailed back to you. You turn it in, and that gets mailed back to you a few months later. So I received mine a few months after the new year, right? And I looked at that and I said, oh, okay, yeah, that's all right. Keep it in the forefront of my mind. Put it in my drawer and didn't look at it again until just a couple of weeks ago, right? But it was really interesting for me because some of the things that I had envisioned for myself, I was totally okay with it not happening. I was totally okay because I realized that just wasn't me. But the main thing that I saw in that moment is that the things that I had wanted to envision required me to release quite a bit of the things, the baggage that I've just been carrying from year to year, the fears. Anybody want to release some fears this year? Any guilt to release this year? Any shame, resentments, not thinking that we're good enough? All those things I wanted to release. I wanted to release it to the care of God, right? That idea of release, let go and let God, right? And I didn't necessarily, with all those things, put in the work, put in the time to really recognize what was being released. How could I fully release it? For example, I was putting on there that I wanted to release fears. Well, did I do the work to really know where that fear was coming from? Did I do the work to know how it was showing up in my life? To really study it, to be very open to it in my life. And also, those things that we want to just so quickly release, have we been able to make peace with those things? Or are we just kind of like, making them go away, right? With a broom, putting it under the rug and trying to create a new way of being without really looking at what those things are. And how much more powerful do you think beginning the year would be if instead of us saying good riddance to 2018, we say thank you to 2018 with all of it, the good, the messy, all of it. Not good riddance, but thank you. Richard Bach, in his book Illusions, which is a great book, he says there is no such thing as a problem without a gift for you in its hand. How many of you are looking forward to the new year because you just don't want to experience certain things that you experienced in 2018? How many of you are looking forward to 2019 in relationships because you're tired of some of the things that you experience in your relationships? But how many of us can look at each and every one of those situations, those things, those relationships, those things that are happening, challenges, situations at work, and start to look at the ways in which they truly blessed us? To be able to shift that so that when we move into the new year, we carry the energy of blessings rather than the energy of not wanting to face something that may have happened in our lives. This idea of also, letting go and let God let go is really the idea of allowing, right? But there still is quite a bit of ow in allowing, right? We say, I'm going to just allow this to take place in my life, or I'm going to allow God to take me from here to there, and think that that's just going to, cure everything, when the reality is that there may still be some hurt. It may not feel comfortable. But the way that we can feel more comfortable is by moving into a place of gratitude, of blessing. That grace and that ease, that elegant dance that happens is a result of a shift in mind of what we want to release. To no longer see it as a burden, but see it as what is really birthing the new possibilities for ourselves. And so we are able to then really look at the things that have been challenging. So I've been doing that. I don't know how many of you have been looking, usually on TV at the end of the year, they have like a year in review. Anybody been doing a year in review? It's a really powerful thing. You know, Charles Fillmore, co-founder, used to go to sleep, before going to sleep every single night, would actually do an inventory of his day. How he had shown up in his day, who he had loved, who he had feared, who he had hurt, doing that. So how powerful if we are able to do that for our year, right? And so I've been looking at what have been my biggest challenges, and I've shared some of those with you before. So this may not be new, but I've had a challenging year as a father. You know, how to really step into being the father that I want to be. And I've been really wondering how I can, instead of just moving on to see how fatherhood shows up in 2019, how I can really use what took place in 2018 as a father to be able to embody what I want to embody in the new year. And so it really got to me thinking about, well, this is maybe the way that I didn't want to show up certain times. This is what is really making me want to be a better father. This is actually what is making me feel more freedom in realizing that there is no such thing as the perfect father, right? All those things. And so that's my invitation to you. Anything that you have found as a challenge that you are still not making peace with, take a moment to really sit with it. And not only find one of the ways in which it has blessed you, but write down 2 ways it has blessed you. Write down 3 ways it has blessed you. Continue to write how that challenge, how that difficulty blessed you until what? You feel that gratitude. And if it means you just have to write 2 different ways of being blessed by it, great. If it means writing a whole sheet of it, great. Whatever it gets you to feel that gratitude. Now, that's the challenges that I feel I want to really step out of. These are the things that I want to release. The chapters in my life that I am taking steps in letting go of, right? But if you're like me, you've also been challenged by things that have found you. And there are chapters that are ending in your life that found you and said, this needs to end, right? Well, Paulo Coelho says, it is always important to know when something has reached its end. Closing circles, shutting doors, finishing chapters, it doesn't matter what we call it. What matters is to leave in the past those moments in life that are over. What are the chapters that are asking you to let go of, to release? What are those circles that need to end? When I sit with that, I know that there's quite a bit of things that have taken place in my life that are asking for me to turn the page. And I want to turn the page in a way that really feels healthy, in a way that really allows me to live my next chapter the best way that I can. And so I think about some of those chapters. And for example, if you were here on Christmas Eve, and if you were towards the front, you would have seen that Reverend Chris started talking a little bit about this being the last Christmas in this auditorium. I like to say that I got a little teary-eyed, but actually I was a crying fool as he said that. And it made me realize this chapter is ending. And for me and for us to boldly step into the next chapter of Unity on the Bay and us at Unity on the Bay, we really have to do the work to heal and to be in gratitude for the chapter that took place here. The gratitude for all the conversations I had in the parking lot after classes 16 years ago when I first arrived here. The gratitude for being here in the platform the first time that I gave a talk at Unity on the Bay. The gratitude for the ways in which we've connected over the years to really allow this honoring of the ending. Because that's what it really is. We have an opportunity to honor every ending that is happening in our lives, the big ones and the small ones, in a very powerful way. A little bit over 36 hours to go into the new year. What are the endings that are taking place that you're conscious of, and ones that you may not have wanted to be so conscious of? That's the other thing I want to just share is, let's be gentle with ourselves. You know, there's a lot of stuff happening, a lot of transitions going on. Let's be gentle with ourselves during this time, loving ourselves, taking time for ourselves. Yes, go to the parties, go have a great time, and also sit in the quiet. Also sit and meditate. Take a time to just connect with somebody in a loving, quiet, one-on-one way, and really allow that energy to move you. What do these endings mean for us? All good things must come to an end. Heard that, right? Usually it's spoken of as, if it's good, there's going to be some bad happening afterwards, right? All good things come to an end. The reality is that for me, it's actually an admonition that if it has an ending, it is good. If it has an ending, and what everything has an ending, it's our opportunity to see how that which is ending is good. So as we take inventory, as we take stock, let us really look at how we can truly let go of the baggage, truly let go of what we want to release, and let it be. So that 2019 is a clean slate. Once again, who wants a clean slate for the new year? So here's my hope for you, for us, is that we have an amazing 2019, a happy new year, but also a happy ending to 2018. A happy way of letting go and releasing this wonderful year that brought us together, that brought you to whatever new ways of being it brought you, and that will then catapult you into recognizing every single possibility and opportunity for you in the brand new year. Thank you, and amen.
Thank you again, Reverend Juan, for encouraging us to honor the endings, to make space for being able to open and bring in the new beginnings. We just so appreciate your leadership in this way. Thank you so very much. So who feels moved, motivated, fed, and ready to give? This is your opportunity, the prosperity moment, and we want you to be not only in the flow of receiving this morning, but also in giving to our beloved Unity community. We have giving envelopes in front of you, or if you want to go green, you can text us to the number up here on the screen, 73256, and that's an easy way for you to be able to save paper. I'll give you a moment to be with whatever you're going to share with us today. As we know that giving is a sacred demonstration of your prosperity and sharing it with us, we'd like you to hold it to your heart if you feel so inclined, and we'll say our offertory blessing together. Divine love that I am blesses all that I give and all that I receive.
Thank you, Unity. The next song we're going to do is one that has become kind of a tradition at the end of the year or at the beginning of the year. So please feel free to stand and join us as we sing I Release and I Let Go.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Positive Spiritual Living Podcast, brought to you by Unity on the Bay, a spiritual community located in Miami, Florida. Unity on the Bay is supported by the generosity of its community. If you'd like to make a donation or learn more about Unity on the Bay, please visit unityonthebay.org. You can also follow Unity on the Bay on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for even more positive spiritual inspiration. Until next time, thanks for listening and many blessings. Namaste.